The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to Beef and Barnzy. We are going to, we're gonna have a special show today, and I'm going to be joined by Ryan here soon enough. Once we get him up and running, so it's all right. Get all that done there, and yeah. It's been a few days since we've had a show, and Stu is still on vacation, so it is just me. There he is, one of my teammates from the Nationals, which team went well. I guess that's about all we can say about that. I just got back from the Senior Masters and the Senior US Open. Out in Colorado the last couple of days, so just got back late last night, so we're just playing catch up here. Stu is up in the Northeast, and much appreciated, Adam. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna wait a few minutes and let guys get in here, and including Boy Wonder, see if we can get him up and running. But got in late last night, so we're all a little bit tired. On the stuff over the weekend, I guess there was a few things going on here. There was a SASBA in Longview. Ryan bowled with Jim Stevens, and where are you throwing the Sublime on the show? I was playing about 13-5. Actually, the best reaction I had the whole time. So, yeah, Nevin, I saw you up in Colorado. I appreciate you. It's always fun to see a Beef and Barnzy show while we're out on the road. Got to see a few of them last week. David Tolson, another guy who's a regular. Highland Park Lanes. Wow, what a nice center this place is. It's an hour north of Denver. Super clean in the front, and apparently the same in the back. They said. It really is, and they go above and beyond a host. It's kind of become a don't miss, can't miss stop. Aside from the fact it's U.S. Open now, but even if it wasn't, I think guys would want to get there. So if you were asking why was I throwing the Sublime on the show, well, I had a ring 10 and a stone 9 for 259. So. I'd say because it struck the most. But hey, Chris, well, I'm sure you're driving somewhere today, so drive safe, keep it between the lines, all those things. And wow, look, it is. This is Barnzy, joined by the often imitated Barnzy Squared. How are you?
Good. I couldn't get my sound to work, so I'm wearing my headset.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
There you go. Best laid plans. The science said, well, it works, but when it works, it basically just it's so bright it just blows out the color on everything. I can do that for you. I think. That's low. And then we have the sun. It just does. So
that's a view.
Yeah. So we just keep it there. Okay. Adam says I wasn't asking why. I was asking if I was. Yes, it was a Sublime. It had some surface on it. So Chris Lawson, yeah, I crossed with him at the U.S. Open. He was grinding through. Looked like for a while he was going to make a run at cashing for sure, and maybe making the finals, but it didn't happen. And then the great one, Tom Adcock, part of the RVs and Wannabes group that we have out on tour. The youngest 60-year-old on the planet. I don't know. He might be older than that. I don't. It's like reverse Cuban. He says he's 61. He's actually like 38. It's not fair. So, uh, good morning from gloomy San Diego. I don't think you get to say that very often.
That's crazy.
Morning. Hey, Tony, what's going on? Morning, Vegas. How's Ion Pro compared to Optum, Ion Exponent? Those are two very, very different balls, but it certainly cleaner than an Idol. Uh, probably a little bit cleaner even than an Exponent, but a little more directional down lane would be my take so far.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny. Yeah, Tom, he knows. He's been lying about his age. It's not even fair. So,
Cheater.
yeah. Have I ever bowled the Peterson? I have. I shot 15-20 and called it pretty much good. Yeah, a little controversy there. I guess they were letting them shoot racks without 10 pins in them, which was a new.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of supposed to be a carnival. That's part of its charm. But yeah, not having 10 pin stand up doesn't really work. So Iron is a step down from the Attention Star for sure. Way less core than Attention Star. Cleaner, not as forward. The balls are looking good in team at USBC. Something fairly big for me early. You guys threw urethane.
Yeah, through urethane from like 15.
Yeah, they started at 10 and just kind of kept moving left, and it looked good for a long time. And then the last game, I guess you went around the whole thing.
Tried to.
But you guys hooked urethane. You did not play particularly
No,
straight.
it was not.
So, and both fairly well.
Kind of.
Yeah, we used very little urethane, but we were playing 12 or so early, and then kind of chased left. We did lose one lane along the way. Got a little too deep, and couldn't really push it across. So, Mr. Sneeze, speaking of somebody both pretty good at nationals and liked him a lot as they really hooked. He was able to throw a clone from the right. So, Mr. Knowlton, he's back. Apparently, he's now a barbecue expert.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, we had the before picture and there was no after, so I guess
Guess it was good.
pretty well. I mean, that's what we need. We need somebody like that to be better at more things.
Yeah.
He already won life, but no, if he could actually get good at all the stuff in between,
Just needs some versatility, you know.
Yeah.
Seems to be lacking.
Yeah, speaking of urethane, there's some fresh purple drama. I don't know how fresh it is. It just somebody said it out loud, and it's a little different in Europe because it's not really a two-sided issue, and so it gets focused on the purple ball, but it's the same issue. It's urethane balls, and they're too soft, and they create a ton of opposite transition from reactive, and the people who aren't great with it, they're stuck, and it's not doesn't feel particularly fair, and I think the rules have made sense a long time before all the other data came out. But once you know that urethane balls do get softer, despite what a couple of people on the internet seem to keep throwing out there that they don't, I don't know how much more data you want to ignore. And the whole thing, well, they lubricate the needle. If only there was testing procedures to eliminate that. Oh yeah, they did. That's not how they test them. So yeah, they do. They are too soft. They hook miles more than balls that are of legal hardness. And there's a reason why there's legal hardness. And it goes all the way back to McCune and a couple of guys with MEK back in the day. And, if 71.8 matters, then 68 also matters. That's my take. And I'm not so sure we shouldn't just go to all urethane. But I think actually a better choice would actually be going to all 78 hardness.
Get
And
him out of here.
yeah, been leaving the doors open while we're gone, huh? Adam says that the 3 balls he's looking to get is Harsh Reality, Sublime, and Exponent Pearl. Saw a little bit of all 3 of those last week. Billy Langford from Oklahoma. What would you do differently if you're bowling nationals again tomorrow? For doubles and singles, I definitely would have stayed to the right. Somehow, anyhow, however you have to do it.
Stay over there.
Yeah, if you have to throw urethane and stretch it. If you can, throw reactive. But whatever it is, chasing left early is not good. You can move a little left, but basically, I haven't seen too many people bowl real good from left to 15. And Billy's rev rate is a little, in my range, I guess. And yeah, I don't think moving left was. I got stuck over there. They never did find hold. So, well, speaking of urethane, got to see Ryan at 78U at the ITRC yesterday. Interesting layout. Super tall pin. Is that just trying to maximize diff?
That seems like a super chat kind of quick. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, basically just trying to make the diff more so it flares more. So it doesn't stand up as fast.
Yeah, it is something common pretty much now that they're trying to do with a lot of those urethanes, and you guys, the two-handers, can get them a little further up there.
Yep.
Kyle Stark, thanks for the super chat. Wasn't there tour editions in the 90s that were urethane, such as Urethane Danger Zone? No. There was tour editions, but they were lower flare balls. Almost all of those tour editions were. So those did get thrown quite a bit, especially with the guys that were a little medium, higher rev rates. Storm kind of made tour balls per se popular with the IQ Tour and some of those, and had more balls like Lightning and Thunder and balls that just in general meteors and sunstorms that didn't flare as much anyway. But most of Brunswick's balls at the times were pretty high flare. And so they had Tour Edition X Zones and Tour Edition Danger Zones that had different colored pins that just had smaller weight blocks. In some cases, a little bit less aggressive covers. And other companies just made balls that looked like the ball on the market and just didn't flare. But kind of the same idea, because a lot of the common balls hooked too much for tour at the time, especially when we bowled all day long. There wasn't enough low end options, and so. What did you do last weekend? Talked about it just a little bit before you came on here.
What did I do last weekend? I bowled a Sasba in Longview, Jim Stevens.
That's normally a pretty good partner.
Yeah, he bowled good.
So
yeah, we bowled good on the first day. We kind of struggled the second day. Got 11th.
11th. That's a little lower than expected.
Yeah.
Sure, but
happens.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we had the U.S. Open. We had a Pete sighting for the first time in basically this year on the PBA 50.
That was fairly random.
What's that?
The Pete sighting.
Yeah. Well, he's been here but has really struggled this year, and this week he didn't. He made a charge. What's that?
Nothing. Here's a Celsius for Ryan. It's a joke.
Well, thanks for the super chat anyway.
Yeah. You have to do that.
Huh?
Yeah.
he was up in the lead for a while. He had fallen out. He had a bit of a meltdown on the stepladder show. So if if you haven't seen that, you can tune in and see what that looked like.
I
I
stopped watching after you last.
I bowled Angelo in the first round and in the first match, and I don't know, how would you describe that?
I don't know. Throw it better. Hit the pocket 10 times. Had a rep 10 and a 9-pin. Not together, so you lost. Tough break.
Yeah, I lost 267, I believe, to
Hey, but I mean,
259. Yeah, I had the front three, ring 10, strike 9-pin sheet, and he went front 5, 2-pin, 1-5. That's right, 1-5. Hit the right side of the 3-pin and left something he could make. And then I made him double in the 10th, finished last, and he went 10 straight back. First shot was fantastic. The second shot, not really so much. He rolled the 2-pin forward to win, and
yay.
then the next match, I think JJ made him strike out again to tie at 260, 67 or 69, and he got the first one again, and the second one.
That was 69, I believe.
Yeah, he scouted the 10 out but left the 7 the next time. So
yeah,
it didn't work out great. So maybe he just sent me home before I was going to get sent home anyway. But I did kind of had the berries.
Yeah.
Put Cerberus on that Sublime, throw a little stronger, a little 4.5 by 7 by 2
by 7.
Yeah, CG left.
Gotcha.
And then hit it with 1,000, and it picked up in all the right places. It would have been interesting to see after a pretty ugly afternoon. One of the ugliest afternoons I've had in a long time. Went 0-6 to end up in the fourth seed. And yeah, it's disgusting. But
silly.
Yeah, Tom and Pete had an interesting position round match, and Tom was kind of hooping it up a little bit and took the lead and kind of set Pete a little bit sideways. And then Pete bowled Janowitz in the step ladder and left a couple of ring 10s and kind of lost it.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear in the chat, what are your thoughts on that? When a guy's, he's super demonstrative. Like, he threw his money clip down the ground and stuff kind of went everywhere, and he rolled around a little bit after he finally struck, and he was chatting it up pretty good. Does that make it much watch TV, or is that is it just too much? And and I've been on both sides of this too, so maybe I'm asking for me as much as I'm asking. I can see both sides. Sometimes as a competitor, it gets pretty. It gets to be a lot. But is that the only reason people are watching, so that they can see something like that? So
people don't watch basketball.
Hmm?
People don't watch basketball to watch Lucas scream at the refs.
Well, there's somebody crossed next to him last week. Yeah, it was a bit much. Oh, good. Stu is here. It depends.
It depends. Well.
Well. Here we go. It would be too much if everyone was doing it. One guy doing it can be fun and gets them fired up. All right. But he says, I don't mind drama and attitude, but throwing stuff was too much. Four straight 10s on the same line will set anyone off. True that, but he didn't wait till the fourth one. Yeah, no doubt he he had plenty of reason to be not pleased. Uh, and it really, I don't know at least some of the players' point. I don't think that it wasn't because it was just then. It was because it was all week. Um, there you go. I watch hockey for the fights. Some people watch NASCAR for the right turns. Uh, yeah, it was on both TV, so not sure. All right. That's what made the PBA want. That's what the PBA wanted from. They got it. I got to see it up close for 3 days at the Villages. Yeah, I mean that was Steve Miller, and that was 20 years ago too. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, Charlie, you can share your experience at the Villages, but I mean, I heard some versions. I wasn't on the same squad there, but yeah, I don't think that went particularly well either. Uh, Actually, I think he went home and recollected himself for a few weeks after that. But yeah, I don't know. It gets tough, and then I
Yeah.
struggle with not being able to perform at a previous level. It's certainly not an easy thing. Uh, yeah, so um, go through it myself on the regular tour pretty regularly. But yeah, I guess yeah, Tom was purposely hamming it up, and certainly in the position round, he had a tough game. He shot 170, I think it was, and Tom shot 240 and flipped him for the top seed. And it seemed like Tom was giving him a little bit of the business, which
No way.
yeah, but I think that's kind of fun to watch to some
Yeah,
extent.
no, yeah, it absolutely is.
Versus one guy walking back and the other guy giving it and that's all you have. Now, if everybody was like that, it would be an absolute mess.
Yeah, the right person has to be doing it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Did we even talk about the Masters last week? I guess I don't know if Stu did or not. But John Rakowski, congratulations to him. He's having a really good year. He was in the top five at the U.S. Open too for a long time. Fell out on the last day, but he's been getting after it, and so uh, kind of a straighter player. Likes to keep his angles in front of him. A little bit old school. Uh, gets a little rotation through it too, so ball doesn't really hook early a lot. Pretty quiet guy, but he's kind of coming into his own and becoming kind of a week in, week out guy out there. So as usual, there's a bunch of guys fighting through some injuries, and it's 6-7 weeks in a row of playing. We'll get to some of the guys, but our buddy Dan seems to be healing up. So Tom pushing someone's buttons, never. Neville says it's the reason that Simon keeps everyone's attention despite his talent. Well, I think his talent keeps everybody's attention too. I'm not sure he's a guy that really has to as well, but Regina says felt more like a child throwing a tantrum. Not a good look. Charlie says it was sad to see. So, playing it up during TV is one thing. During Team Squad at the Ozarks is another. All right. And I've learned that emotional roller coaster is too tough to ride. Getting pumped up too much for me, at least, means I can't repeat shots. These guys, yeah, I don't. Some guys can manage it. And Pete's a guy that's used anger to bowl better for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a go-to thing on TV shows. That's what the picking somebody out of the crowd thing is. It's just a way to fire him up, and it's worked for a long time. It just doesn't seem to work very well anymore, and so then it really comes off poorly. He gets mad for a little bit, gets focused up, throws a five bagger, and then he's just then then it becomes intensity because it's
Yeah.
not demonstrative necessarily, or it's celebration of throwing good shots. But when it's just a shame. People have never gotten a break in 40 years.
Yeah. You either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Love the Always love the theory. Pete always looks for someone to get him angry, so he bowls better. Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be at you.
Tommy does it too. He's just
Yeah.
yeah. It's just way lower key, and he picks his opponent lots. He gets it wired into his mind. This guy's lucky, or this guy's something else, or this or that, and it gets him focused up. Feel like he's supposed to win, and something good's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So it used to be fun to watch when Pete was younger, but now I guess I'm used to it, so it's just got a bit annoying. Yeah. Well, moving on. Thoughts on the ladies' U.S. Open? How much of that did you catch?
I watched some of it, most of it.
And you saw more than I did because I was bowling. But I mean, I caught up on it later. One of my favorite physical games on tour, Verity Crawley. She made the step ladder, but one and done.
Yeah.
Clemmer made a great run up the ladder. Bowled a couple of really good games. And
then
Cindy Jane. We have a tendency in the U.S. to assume that if it didn't happen here, it didn't matter. It didn't happen. Riggles is declared Jillian Martin as the best player in the world, which I don't think does her any favors. I think she's certainly capable of it, but I think it's a little like declaring Caitlin Clark the best player in the world.
Well, at the same time, De'Aaron Booker run the Masters too, and he wasn't declared the best bowler in the world. So
yeah, and Jillian has a little more behind her than that. And obviously, the eyeball test. She's young, she's super talented, and she does do some things that no one else does. It's a lot like Caitlin Clark from that standpoint. But Cindy Jane has been one of the top players in the world for a while.
It's crazy.
She does it over there all the time. She comes over here in very limited action, and this is one of the first times in a while they've been able to bowl every week, and it shows.
Yeah.
Shayna gets a lot of the attention from Singapore. It's a much tougher thing for Jane to pull it off. Doesn't have the same type of support from her federation. Zulmazran Zulkifli comes over and had some of the same fights and struggles to get over here to play, and basically had to step away from their team to do it. It wasn't nearly as easy, but congratulations to her in an era that really power is being rewarded tremendously through a variety of factors. But it's and not that it shouldn't be. I think power is always power with most accuracy is always a big thing. But it's a tough world to be a straighter player and win regularly and be at the top regularly like she's doing. And that says a lot about how good a player she is. And yeah, I don't know what else did you see on the show. That's really all I can comment on it.
I was kind of watching. I was gaming and watching. So, yeah, I don't know. She bowled good. She bowled fantastic. It was crazy.
She puts a lot of shots online. That's what I've seen consistently every time I watch her bowl.
Yeah.
It's a different version of Carolyn, of Stephanie Johnson, of Linda, of players who, Liz Johnson, players that can just put a ton of shots online and they're good on a lot of things. And the harder they get, it seems like the better they are. AB, thanks for the super chat. Can only take 4 balls AOCs, have Harsh Reality, Phase 2, Zen Gold Label, IQ Ruby, and Spare Ball. Which one to leave out? Uh, well, the numbers of the Phase 2 and the Zen Gold are very similar. I'm not sure. Let's see,
But they're not
25
close.
rev rate, medium speed. I don't know that you're really going to need a Ruby. That would probably be my take. Even though the Zen Gold label and Phase 2 are similar numbers, the covers are different enough to give you some gap there. Uh, They hook as long as you're okay with moving in on team event. Uh, Now that being said, I guess depending on how much rotation you have to stay straight, you might have to ball down a little bit uh, in doubles and singles. Um, it's probably a tough call, but I think you need the harsh rally for at least a little while. Uh, not assuming you have some rotation to go with what you have there. Um, I could see going Phase 2 in IQ Ruby as well. Uh, in the end, it's going to come down to pretty much how much you like those two balls. Assuming that the gold label is shiny as well. It's a bigger core, but it's probably one of the cleaner covers of the bunch as well. So, yeah, follow up a little bit and let me know a little bit more about. But it's going to come down which one you like the best between those two balls. I think. Any thoughts?
Yeah, for that, I would probably just leave out the Ruby. Probably be my thoughts, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lower flare ball. I know Linda had one. It never saw daylight. Just didn't need it. Didn't really need it, but I get one to be covered down there.
I don't think it'll hook in doubles and singles. It'll probably just be Phase 2s in gold.
Yeah, I think those are probably the best ones to go off of. I could see that for sure. As long as you like your Zen Gold label a lot and the surface hasn't been compromised too much, you still has some polish on it. That'll leave you plenty of gap between the Phase 2 and that.
Yeah.
Shocks by Hammer says, I have a question about PBA 50. I'll email you. Just paying in advance for your reply, please. Well, no problem. I appreciate it, and I'll make sure I do that. Yeah, Diana had a record on day one. Yeah, they had a pattern where you got to play the gutter, and she obliterated them.
That was crazy.
Yeah, 200 pins in front of the field, which is
430 over at the U.S. Open.
How do you do that? Every once in a while it can happen on the left. There's so more, fewer guys.
At Woodland is crazy,
but that's wild. It is. I'm not a huge fan of the U.S. Open being basically a World Series.
They did have 1-2-2. I mean,
they let the gutter hook, and she got on top of it, and
just abused it. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic bowling.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's at that point, she's got to be terribly disappointed that that's not the fourth pattern that she gets to bowl 30 games on, or 24 games on, perhaps. I'm not sure which version of it they bowled on, but yeah. But the women don't really have a World Series, I don't believe, like that, where they bowl on, the one like we have. It just becomes a second World Series kind of for us, except it's just one title instead of 4 that week. I personally liked a little better when it was one pattern, and I get maybe that's not ideal either. Maybe 2 patterns is more of a better test. I get what they're going for though. It's hard when you have re-oils to create 3 different zones and 3 different things like A, B, and C do. So I get the point of it, and sometimes I think they do a better job than others. It is a pretty big advantage. Whoever can figure out that last pattern is gonna have the lion's share of the advantage And so, in this case, Jane was the one that figured out the match play pattern the best, and she ran it right up into first. Uli, took your advice, took my absolute power for team, worked great. 1912 all events with a 130 game in doubles. Yikes!
Whoa.
1913 with that's a pretty good, basically 2,000 for the rest of 200 over for the rest of the other 8. It's pretty good bowling at nationals. Congratulations.
Pretty good.
Well, here's an opposite take from what you hear most of the time. I got a break since my center put in certified strings. I haven't seen any BS string carry, except I made a 410 split thanks to the string saving a clean game.
It's a break.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, there's still some anomaly stuff. I mean, we see pins bounce out of the back and do that too. So it's in a free fall center. So there's always going to be some things, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be crazy.
You're 10 minutes behind on comments. Come on.
You what?
You're 10 minutes behind on the comments.
Oh, I'm a little bit. Hagrid, how's it going? So, somebody hoping Kelly could have made the show. Yeah, it's she's back to bowling good again. Seems to be confident, which is probably the bigger thing. What I think about the trio format in Jonesboro, I guess we'll see how it plays out. But all three, the men, the women, and the seniors are all going to bowl qualifying, and then after that, they're going to pair up, one with one, and they're going to drop all the pins. That part I'm not super stoked about. Not when you're going to have 30 pins of bonus in only 16 games. Whoever wins matches is going to have a monstrous advantage. It's bad beats plays too much of a play in that case. I think it's probably time for us to look into 20 pins of bonus for those kind of things. Given that the formats are a lot shorter than they used to be when that was put into play, but I think it's pretty cool. They push very hard to have this format there. I don't think it was an easy sell. So far, the seniors have filled their side, which I didn't think would happen because they're up in Michigan the week before, and the women and the men have a little ways to go, which I thought would be the easier part because they're in at Lucy a couple of days before that. So I imagine it will fill up. I think it'll be a pretty full field, and it'll be interesting to see, the best players from all 3 tours all in the same place. So, question for Ryan: it's been a minute. Do you have any videos in the works for your channel?
I have an Ion Pro ball review coming. I'm going to post it tomorrow, seeing as the ball comes out tomorrow.
Oh, well, there you go. All right. Cal Jerry says, hello, Ryan Bowl team at Nationals. Well, I bowled doubles and singles. How do you all feel about folks asking for photos in that environment? I didn't want to intrude and interrupt your time.
As long as it's not during bowling or during an important moment, I think it's fine. Just be polite and ask.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little tricky while you're bowling.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it with flash, that's a no-go. Seeing dots is a little rough during a competition, but you do sometimes have to what you watching.
That's mom. All right.
You have to kind of read the room a little bit. If somebody's struggling, that's you're not as likely to get a good answer as when you're not. So, team trials in Reno next year announced. Will that result in a smaller adult field, essentially creating a junior gold West?
It's already what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Vegas. It's been in Vegas for the last been at Gold Coast for 5, 6, 8 years, 10 years now. It was in Orleans before that, so I don't see it being any different. As a matter of fact, it could be bigger because uh, the stadium is bigger than either one of those two centers. So you could actually increase the field, not actually go smaller. Two 710s were picked up in the U.S. Women's Open, and one was by
The one,
Chiquita.
the one was
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
She turned around. Did you see it? Look at
I
that
did
video.
not.
Yeah, she turned around. She threw it kind of slow. It like bounced out perfectly.
Wow,
Rolled out across.
no kidding. Just did the
Just in the corner. You see it?
Dropped it right out of there. Nevin, nope. First, yeah. Somebody Ryan knows as well, but Steve Anderson, he stood at our wedding 30 years ago, and well, not quite 30, but I've known him for over 30 years through Team USA originally. We used to train in Colorado Springs and bowl an exhibition with the Colorado Springs All Stars, and that's where I met him. And and fierce competitor. Later on that same year, I bowled him at the Masters in Huntsville, and he beat me there too on his way to being undefeated and being the leader on the show. She eventually lost to Steve Fair. But so, yeah, uh, it was cathartic, I guess. I got up and spoke a little bit. I didn't really plan to, but did. And so, cried and sniffled through a couple of short stories. But it was great to see a bunch of his friends. It was great to see how many people showed up and how many people he affected, and then share some of those good memories. So sad to see him go. 5-year battle with mesothelioma. They gave him 3 months, and he made 5 years. So no luck to fight with him for sure. Steve Anderson was this guy I'm going to miss for a long time. So, and on to more news. Is the thumb in your spare ball any different? I
Yeah.
have a little bit more reverse in my thumb of my spare ball, but my spare ball is also fingertip versus semi-fingertip for my strike ball. So helps it clear a little easier. So, how important is a player to manipulate their axis tilt? Go ahead.
Not important. The tilt is one of the variables you want to stay away from manipulating because it changes your PAP, which changes your pin distance, which also changes how your ball rolls. So unless you're a genius and can do that, I would recommend staying away from that.
But what about rotation?
Rotation is perfect. You want to mess with the rotation, I have a couple of tricks, tools, rotation, be able to control that. And yeah.
Yeah, you need to have different rotations. But you can't move tilt without rotation anyway. And you have to move rotation a ton to really move tilt, for the most part. It might be a little easier to do with two hands or than one, but
yeah.
Yeah,
Cameron Hurst is one of those guys that could change his tilt on command.
Really?
And he could do whatever he wanted. And he actually drilled some balls for the different ways he wanted to throw. It was kind of sick, but
yeah. Well, I mean, that's next level.
But it's
hard
just,
to do.
It's just too many variables. That adds too much.
Right. No, flying coming around and not liking random bonus pins. No, I like bonus pins because I understand that we're an entertainment. But we can keep it back within reason.
Yeah, Dan.
At one point, I did ask. I had to ask some of the old guys because I didn't really know how it came about. And so I asked Barry Asher. I said, "So, how did 30 bonus pins come to be a thing?" He says, "Because it used to be 50." I go, oh, I go, really? He goes, "Oh yeah." And he started telling me stories about Dick Weber and Harry the Tiger Smith, and these guys would lead tournaments by so far that the only chance they had to catch them was to put in these big monstrous bonus spins for matches, and Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Right. Like, so then 30 sounds pretty good when you put it in that perspective. But
Yeah.
25, 20. I mean, I'd like to come up with a way. If we have any mathematicians out there that can come up with a way that you can bowl, we can make a cut to say 28. Is that 28? Is that right? No. Yeah, 28. I think it is 20, and bowl 7 games versus 3 guys each game, 10 pins for each person you beat. Bowl everyone in the field and bowl once on each of the 7 pairs. 8 pairs. Sorry, 8 pairs. It's tricky. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I think you can do one with 15, and you could bowl 7 games. You bowl the other 14 players once, but you're going to hit multiple pairs, and there's some things. I'm not sure it's a better version, but it'd be a way to when you have 24 guys and the bottom 8 have you know very little chance of making the show or up in the top 10 even at times with 8 games to go. I'm not sure that's a win on either side. Kyle Andrews, any recommendations for Nationals team event? Uh, some guys are throwing urethane, but it travels anyway. I think you play it like a 37-foot, 36 kind of almost like cheetah.
Steep angles.
Throw it over towards the gutter, and see what. Make sure in practice you find out how much it hooks to the right. Figure
See
out
that-
if 2 is the gutter or 5 is the gutter, and because you can get it over there way further than you really think, and if you can do that, then the lane can
yeah.
break down and can get fairly easy.
You got to survive the first game. They're not easy the first game.
Yeah, they're not easy, but
Yeah.
an angle is really the only hold you have for a
They
little.
develop though. Pretty
But it
nice.
does travel, urethane or not. So long drop brush, if I was to guess. And by that I mean the actual applied oil is probably fairly close to the actual length of the pattern in that 36, 37-foot range. Whereas doubles and singles, it's a longer pattern, but I imagine the actual applied oil is probably even less, quite a bit less, 3 to 4 feet if I was to guess. And so moving left on the longer pattern actually ends up being harder to do than it is on the shorter pattern. A little backwards. A little trickery by Mr. Hoagland. So, I actually don't know why Jillian withdrew. I at a funeral yesterday. I drove all day. I just didn't get to see it, so I don't know. I don't know if you heard anything or not.
I have not heard anything.
Okay, so if you know in the chat, let me know. What do you think about the Attention Star and IM Pro?
I've been throwing the Ion Pro all the time. It's kind of my benchmark below my bigger benchmark balls, like the Idol and the Absolute. It's pretty quick, but I can roll it and still does the right things and controls the lane well. So, yeah. Attention Star, I don't like. It wasn't my favorite piece. I know some people like it a lot. Kind of stood up for me a little bit, so I kind of stayed away from it.
Yeah, that's what I would say. If you have quite a bit of axis rotation or you're a little bit speed dominant, I think the Attention Star can be a really, really good ball. I've seen it strike a ton. Hess mauls them with that thing.
Right.
Pete bowled really good with it last week at different times too. But guys are a little more forward, a little more end over end, or a little more rev dominant. I think it tends to stand up and go forward, and what I mean, almost like roll out. It doesn't have that long continuous motion, and that's what you're looking for. When you have a window like that, you can bowl good on a bunch of different patterns for a long time. David Tolson, he always said, bowling bear last night so much easier than last week at the Unis Open. Well, when you put it over the house shot for the first time, it'll play a little bit softer for sure. Practice day, it looked pretty soft too, and then it didn't look very soft after that.
I'm not a fan of bear.
Yeah. Found a Brunswick Black Beauty in my parents' basement last week. Would it be a legal spare ball for tournaments? Yes, you have to get it approved. show a tournament director on the national tour for sure. But rubber balls basically are allowed, provided you, hey, this is actually a Black Beauty, Black Diamond,
Whatever.
yeah, whatever it is. It's the rule is really about urethane, and so all urethanes have to be after August 1, 2022. So 50 is insane. That made me laugh. Stony Burke. I listened to the show and realized how little I know about bowling. Great. He's such a liar. He's so low key's everything. He knows so much more about life and everything else, including bowling. This guy was a world class fast pitch softball pitcher. He's a Marine. He can beat us at everything. It's crazy. Maybe have half the field get bonus, not a match play win loss. Yeah, you could probably do something like that too. There's some things, especially in the eliminator format, where maybe just do dog eat dog. You get 5 pins for every guy you beat.
That's not what you want to do. The top guy still wins.
Huh?
So the top guy will still win.
Yeah.
You
It's
can't.
the trickiest part of it because we all want to be golf. We just want to play, best score wins. And if you have enough money, you seem to be able to get away with it. But, and maybe it doesn't change anything. But I do feel like having watched enough tournaments over the last 30 years that having match play, having swings in the format and having guys be able to make big moves, I think changes the intensity and the atmosphere in the bowling center and makes it a more enjoyable thing. How was bowling with Greg Snee at Nationals? Oh God, I mean it's painful.
Guy's just pain.
Yeah, never stops talking.
Never stop smiling. Just stop.
Super demonstrative. Really anger issues. All kinds of things.
He won the SASBA this weekend.
Yeah.
Even with his thumb tearing apart, he was just spinning the clone up 12 or up the gut.
He's still throwing that clone.
Yeah, dude.
He did it Nationals too. Somebody in the chat I saw, and we got behind, so I skipped over it. I apologize, but Gregson, he did throw a clone. He threw it from the right and just kept getting firmer and firmer and kind of stayed there. And my personal success with the clone means he should have gotten an extra 15 pins a game just for throwing it. But he whacks him with that thing.
Silly.
Yeah, he's actually the ultimate good, great Nationals teammate because he puts a ton of shots on line. He doesn't hook it a ton, so he's never going to make the lane worse. And he makes about everything he looks at from a spare standpoint. And so one way or the other, the years when they were really, really hard, he found a way to shoot 620, with no ball reaction. and the good years, he's finding ways to shoot 680, 690, 700 and give your team a chance to win. And so, yeah, it pains me to say something nice, but Greg's been great. Last 3 years he's done well. By the way, you have a video that's going a little bit, getting around. They said Jillian fell on a spare attempt and face planted.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of the video of yours that's going around.
Yeah. From the players back in
January. Yeah, that was actually back in January, early February. One of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess you can explain what happened real quick.
Well, it was snowing out. There was water all over the concourse. Went up to talk to one of my friends. Didn't realize I stepped in anything. Thought it was dry, and ate it. My foot didn't even try and slide. That was a fun one.
The fact you made the spare is actually pretty crazy.
I think I threw the next one in the gutter or something, but
yeah.
Or no, I don't know. I tried to save the game.
Yeah.
Turns out those pins mattered.
Yeah. Came down to literally a shot or two at the end. So 38 feet is the shortest Oshis have used since dual patterns. Team scoring pace is similar to 2019. 15 to 19 were all 38 feet. 15 to 19 were flatter, lower scoring than this year. That's probably a pretty accurate take from what I've seen. So, the real question is, what rank is Ryan on Siege?
Oh, this season bronze. It just started though. Like plat, nothing crazy. Pretty mid. Bad aim.
Thoughts of USBC Nationals went to 4-man teams instead of 5-man teams. Yeah,
Yeah.
not a fan.
No, the scores would be too close together. Not enough.
It's good. That's an interesting take,
And
actually.
then you'll get really stacked teams with 4 people. I think.
Probably both true. It's something people don't think about. It is easier to put together 4-man teams for doubles, singles. Then basically any 4 can go and
Yeah.
kind of do it all.
It does make some sense though.
Yeah, from a scheduling standpoint, it's easier. It does throw away a lot of years of records and those kind of things. So, will Knowlton's First Choice Barbecue become a sponsor of the Beef and Barnzy Show? I think that's probably a good question that we may have fairly immediately after the show.
Thanks for the idea.
Chris, I just wonder if last week's Senior US Open was the best television show you've ever been on, the best Final Five you have been on, whether PB or PB 50. Oh no, no. I mean, I love those guys, and it was very close to probably the local guy at the center picked 5 guys for them to watch, and he got 4 of the 5 right. The guy he didn't pick was Pete, actually, because Pete was having a really tough year. Rakoski was the 5th guy because he just won the Masters. But I've been on shows with Walter, Norm, Parker, and so I mean, there's 120 titles. We had Pete at 40, and I had 19 or whatever it is. Angela has 1. Tom has, 1 national title. JJ didn't bowl on tour. So it was a great, as far as who is bowling best right now, it was pretty close. Pete was actually the anomaly, oddly enough, of making that show, but the rest was pretty much it. Rakoski stayed in the top 5. That would have been the 5 guys that were probably, I haven't looked in a little bit, but probably in the top of the points right now. So, when is Tour Trials, and will they be streaming it? I'm sure they will be streaming it. And yes, I actually know they're streaming it because they have like 2 teams moving it because it's August 20th for 4 days, 20th, 23rd, and it's in 4 centers in the Chicago area, and they will be streaming all of it. Snee is the perfect teammate. Speaking of another guy that just talks too much, super negative energy all the time. By the way, if you have any printing needs, that's your guy. Paul Henderson's taken over this business. He worked at it. He's bought it. He's the guy. Paul puts his link down at the bottom. We'll share it out there. But what do we got? The military championships use 6-person teams. That's an interesting way to go.
It would take forever. If you do 1 team on a pair,
it'd take a minute, but then you just go team, trios, and singles. I guess you can still do doubles too. Then you have 4 events.
Yeah, you should doubles. I don't know. I don't think you do trios.
If you like over brisket, you know what? We can help carry your brand on this show until you really dial in dial in your process. But seeing as how you did in the glass biz, I have a feeling you'll figure it out. How many more events? We still have several. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events left, and the World Series is one of them. 3 majors, including the World Series. So there's really like 10 titles left this year. One team on a pair. There you go. Well, that would.
I like that.
6-man teams, one team on a pair.
Break
That's
it down.
actually really interesting. You could have team, trios, doubles, singles, one team on a pair. Squad to be a little tighter. You're not having to. You don't need a companion team. You don't have to worry about anybody else. Huh. And he wins in that thing all the time, so he probably likes that one. So yeah, I mean, it could be first choice jerky, instead of barbecue if you. GTO this year has changed their format to 4-person teams.
So all the locals could bowl?
Yeah, that term has basically almost killed itself. When you won't let people come in and bowl because the locals have taken up all the spots, I think you've cut your nose off to spite your face. So, tournaments make a lot of money off brackets, but the locals come in and capitalize all the spots, and you can't even get in the tournament.
Yeah.
It's a little bit crazy. Talk about the Players Championship for just a minute, and then we'll wrap things up here shortly.
Players Championship. It was fast. A lot happened really quickly. It was really fun. It's cool to see all the people there supporting me, especially from the Wichita area. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know. I was just living in the moment, trying to.
Well, you did a pretty good job. Front eight's good. Front 8, front 9.
Right.
Front 8. That's a good way to start.
Quitter.
Replacement for Zen Gold Label. That's a tricky one right now.
Waiting.
Yeah. I mean, right now we're kind of using an Ion Pro in that slot. A different way to accomplish it, but it's a ball under the phase 2 and above, or smoother than like a Vibo or something like that. So, Adam, you already know I'm bowling every tournament. I bowl all of them. So, but yeah, definitely be in Jackson, Michigan for the World Series. Bowl everything I can get to. So, what's coming up this weekend? Regional in Edmond. SASBA 4 member at Forum this weekend. Probably a weekend off for me. Feels like I've been on the road since January. And
yeah,
it was a emotional week. So good and bad. So just for fun, would you think of a black pro hook? I don't think a black pro hook would hook anymore, to be honest. But I had one of those for a long time. Back in the 90s, that was my spare ball / dry lane ball. And it was pretty useful back then. But these days, a lot more oil in the lane. It's thicker. Hooks a little sooner, but that down lane oil is a little tricky. So I don't think the 78 hardness brick like that, the no hook would be the right call, unless you're using it for spares. Maybe at the beginning of team. Maybe. I don't know. I think it get away from you pretty fast. But anything else you got?
I got nothing. Go to the ITRC and practice in the regional pattern.
There you go. All right. Well, check back in with us Tuesday. I believe we will have another show. Stu should be back off vacation. And
thank goodness.
Yeah, no more having to put up with you, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you'll be replacing me on the show soon enough.
Whatever.
That's fine. So between now and then, thanks everybody for showing up today. Appreciate the chat. And until next time, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Cool Whip, Bowlers Mart, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Forward. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.